plagues. Wait, no.
Oh. Unfortunately, I don't think I could ever get away with pleading innocence because everyone just looks at me. They know full well what you did. I'm like, yeah, I know what I did. But come on. Let's make believe. Let's make believe we're going to do another show, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. We're getting ready for another weekly, daily Wednesdays. Couple of
Yeah, my boss, in one of the one-to-ones we had, like, one of the few first ones while I was still a contractor. She was like, you're a little bit, I don't want to say abrasive, but you're very forward, blunt. The word you're looking for is blunt. Yes, precisely, what you just did.
It's a time-honored British tradition is to insult somebody with a compliment. I would have been like, you lack, what's the word? Tact. Yeah, tact. That's what we're looking for.
Yeah, I have this nasty habit of telling exactly what I want to say without subterfuge, without second intentions. I say what's in my head at the time, and I mean what I say.
Dude, here's the problem. I've gotten in way more trouble in my life from telling the truth. Not lying. Not lying.
Oh, yeah.
Never been bit by that. But telling the truth has gotten me in trouble. Like, yeah, I probably should have toned that down a bit. But I'm reflective. As you get older, you learn to be a bit more tactful.
Quiet?
I'm usually quiet anyway in my natural state, which I find is helpful in like meat space situations, because if I talk, everyone's like, wait, what?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, yeah, I don't like the sound of my own voice. You know, some people I don't like dead air when we're talking, but outside of that, dead air is fine. As long as
Because
there's
we're live, we have to be.
as long as there's a fan running in the background. I don't like silence.
Oh no, see at work, sometimes people will say, despite me having described exactly what they need to do, and they ask a really stupid question that was answered by something that they would have known if they had been listening to me, and Dave immediately cuts in without even giving me a chance to say anything. It's like, Pedro already said that. You do this, and this is... Oh yeah, I must have missed that. And then I look at people, it's like, okay, whatever.
There's two ways to go about it when you're trying to get stuff done. I've learned this with you and Jordan. It's either just, all right, here's how you fix it. Do this first and not these other 30 things, or that's either going to happen, or just relax, let them do all their stuff. That's not going to work. Be patient. Then we'll get back to it. And you still get to say, do you know how much time we could have saved if you had just done that? And you still get your reward at the end. You just have to wait for it. We do have a gang of things to talk about.
Yeah, we do.
Show notes scooched over.
Okay, so. That goes right there. And that goes over there.
Whoa, that's not gonna work. All right. Hey, good on you, XFC. Escape abandons a menu misclick. You know, when you've already like depressed.
Yep. You can either keep holding it down and drag it away from the menu, and it'll forget about it, or you hit escape.
Hey, Patrick. How you doing?
Oh, speaking of XFC, I did try Enzo OS.
What's that?
It's a mishmash of things. It's Ubuntu based.
Oh yeah.
But it's got the XFCE panel and Plank and XFWM, but it also uses Gala from Elementary OS. Yeah.
Okay.
And the elementary OS compositor as well. So it's like, that is a mishmash of things, and while, yes, it works, technically, there are things that if you change in the XFCE settings, it doesn't apply to the Gala
yeah.
window manager. So it's like...
That's
Yeah.
a legitimate thing when you mix and match.
It's the same issues with Ubuntu Budgie. There's some of those issues. Oh boy.
Just use Unity, and I'm sure it's available in the Snap store.
Yeah, the whole desktop is a snap. It takes about 3 minutes for it to load.
You've made progress.
I remember when they introduced that as like the netbook option. You know, netbooks with those single core 32-bit Atom processors. Yeah.
I don't know. You can always make it work.
But yeah, it does look very pretty. And if they sort out those like interaction snafus, it'll probably give Deepin a run for the prettiest desktop environment money.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I haven't played with that distro. I've been reading about it though.
Yeah, it kind of blew up when they released version 0.3.1.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that delay's tight.
Cool.
Tight. That's a word the kids are using these days, right?
Yep.
Baby.
No, that was 2 years ago.
Dude, tight was around when I was a teenager, man. Come on.
Yeah, it goes around.
Yeah, it goes around, comes around.
So it was very tight, Daddy-o.
Today is lit.
Lit. Woke.
Woke. Although woke doesn't get as much use, lit is definitely the one.
It's like, woke's a Twitter thing. It's like, are you woke, bro? I'm like, ah.
And sick, I remember in the 90s,
yeah, that
watching
was...
TV and MTV was going sick.
Well, yeah, like Wicked, Sick, Rad.
Mm-hmm. That came about in my generation, yes.
The good old days before TCP/IP.
Yep.
Yes.
Where you looked at a television, it's like, this is the future.
I don't think. Oh, well, okay. There's definitely a generation, like maybe back in the late 20s, that did that. Maybe.
I was born in Portugal. Like, TVs in the 70s and the 80s were like a thing. A whole thing.
It was like a cultural
Yeah.
thing. It's like, we have TVs now.
Yeah, and it was a mishmash of color TVs and black and white TVs, because before that,
Where did you
TVs were
find
just...
black and white TVs in the 80s? Were they just repurposed? Or...
Oh, no.
No, they were still selling them heavily, Vin.
Yeah.
I had one in
they
the
were
80s.
cheaper.
Yeah, because my parents bought me one to watch Star Trek reruns on.
Peasants.
It was a little portable, cute little 13-inch
Okay, now the,
black
like,
and
the little
white.
portable ones, 100%. I'm talking about a TV.
Yeah, no, they
yeah.
were sold in Portugal, like the early 80s, late 70s. They were very much still sold as the cheaper option. Yeah.
Huh.
Actually, the last I have a vague idea of like the small electrical appliance shop that my grandparents had. The last pure black and white TV didn't go away from the shelf until like 1992.
Yeah, I still saw them around.
Now, does anybody still make CRTs?
No, I
I
have
don't
to
think
check
that's
that.
old enough for the
Yeah.
hipsters to like those.
Incorrect. I see them all the time when I'm at a Goodwill
Yeah.
or someplace like that. There'll be some
Yes, secondhand.
20-year-old. Well, that's where they're going to get them, man. And they'll have them in their cart because they're going to go play their
Yeah.
retro video games. Their retro N64.
Yeah, Steve Husband, this is my old Debian shirt from Scale from like, actually, I think it's like 2007.
It's a decade old.
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna go get another one. I'll be
You
right
just got one.
back. No, I didn't.
Yeah, you did.
No, I didn't. I had a bottle of whiskey in my hand earlier.
See, that was whiskey. There's just difference.
Yeah, really, Patrick. The first couple scales I went to, HP was giving a raffling off Pro Lions, like $10,000 Pro Lions.
Mhm.
Those were some of the prizes at the what did we call it then? It's now game night, but it used to forget what they used to call it. But before
That'll
it turned
teach
into sorry, before it turned into game night. The reception, the scale reception, it used to be there were so few people back then at scale that everyone won something, and like 30 people won computers. It was just insane.
Oh man, they were handing out participation computers. Like, yeah,
Yeah.
you showed up.
That was when they were heavily, pushing Linux, and it was a thing.
Oh, speaking of, I gave away one of my laptops. I only have 9 now.
Oh,
Well,
hey Jelly Brain, I'm glad you can join us for lunch.
that maybe made Nori a little happier.
Oh, happy.
That's one less.
It wasn't for
chore.
her. She actually has a pretty good laptop. Okay.
No, I'm talking about walking in and seeing a stack of laptops. She's like, well, there's one less. More room for cats, man. That's your future.
No, the shelf is looking a bit empty now. I used to be able to see like the top of the laptop stack, and now I can't.
Gonna have to do something about that. Get on eBay, man.
Yeah. Well, I have no idea what to get because like the interesting
Hello, Pennywise.
ones
Steve.
I got.
Pennywise, yay!
Yeah, I have that problem. That's why I could never sit back and because both you and Jordan have remotely interesting things on your wish list. And I was like, I'll make a wish list. I was like, I don't want anything. I was thinking, Jordan's got weights and you got Dremel stuff. I was like, maybe some. I was like, no, just go buy it. I'm not patient. I was looking for something.
I'll usually buy it if it's something that I need. Like right now, it's like okay, buy. If not, it just sits on the wish list for ages.
It's definitely a thing. Okay.
And speaking of, Mike G is he was perusing through the wish lists.
What did he get you, man?
The Corsair M55 Pro mouse that I forgot I'd put there because I was watching one of the E3 streams. And they mentioned, it's like, oh, Corsair, they released a new ambidextrous M55 Pro mouse.
Okay.
And I looked, it's like, okay, isn't there like a bit of software that works with Corsair mice on Linux? It's like, oh, yeah, there is. Okay. Go on Amazon. Oh, it's not available yet. Send it to the wish list. And then the next day, Mike G is like, oh, yeah, by the way, yours is going to take a bit longer. It's like, what? What are you talking about?
So, I mean, you can use it with both your feet?
I guess.
I
But
mean-
it is going to make for an interesting video comparing the Kova to the M55 Pro.
Oh yeah, huh?
Cage match?
Yeah. Just have them both dangling by the cord and go.
Yeah, see if they pass the mayonnaise test, man. See how long they can still work while submerged.
Grab a little bit of mayo, rub it on the sensors, like. Oh, that doesn't work.
You pop the lid, you put an entire tablespoon in there, close it, then you start clicking to see which one. It's mayo test, man. It's a test that'll stay with that mouse for a long time.
Yeah.
Is it music
And
from
if you-
Guilty Gear? Probably not. It's Creative Commons, so. It's
And if you rest your hand on the mouse for too long, it starts to smell of hot mayo. And then rank mayo.
Oh, come on. There's nothing better than a big helping bowl full of, like, sun-cured mayonnaise.
If you need a all-natural laxative, yes.
Ew.
I don't know, man. I still think mayonnaise is just a practical joke that's gotten out of hand.
It's just egg and olive oil? Or sunflower oil, if you prefer.
I think the legitimate stuff is the other stuff that doesn't claim it's mayonnaise. It's just like,
Oh, I can't believe it's not mayo.
No, ew, yuck, disgusting.
one of them is like, it's like, yeah, it doesn't. I mean, just don't worry about it. Miracle Whip. That's it. It took me.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, no. Hellman's, Heinz, those are good mayos.
You know, I don't like the bottle they have. Welcome to Condiment Cast, ladies and gentlemen. A new series here at LGC. It's where we talk about condiments for however long it takes. The Heinz bottle, because they were out of just like regular yellow mustard, like the El Cheapo store brand. And I was like, that's out. Whatevs. So they had like the Heinz, which it's got that valve in the bottle that keeps it squeezed. That's stupid.
I mean, if you want to, squeeze and not have to squeeze the initial bit of air out.
Well, that's the whole problem. You said it. We got this thing. I don't know how it works. Maybe Britannia's changed since I've left. We still have gravity over here. So that falls back down, and you have nothing there to get the air behind that other than just centrifugal force. It's like, this would be a lot easier. So I just have to take the cap and tap, tap, close it, shake, shake. There. Boy, I'm glad
See,
that valve's there.
In a perfect world, if it had no air in there to start with, you'd just squeeze it and it would keep itself without any air inside. Limiting the exposure, thus making it last longer.
I have to buy
Perfect
squeeze bottles because if I buy mustard or like with spoons involved, I'm not a responsible human being. I don't like making myself sick.
Yeah, I'll totally eat a spoonful of mayo without even thinking about it. It's like,
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Yep.
I know, Pedro loves his mayo.
You're just like, boom, that's disgusting. Bring out the Cool Whip.
Yeah.
I've done that too.
I like the Cool Whip, yes.
And like testing to see if the little thing of cream is still good. No, that's good.
Little thing of cream. I'm unfamiliar with this technology.
But, like the little cups of cream.
Okay, we'll start this.
double cream.
Obviously, I don't know.
Yes.
ELIV, man. Explain like I'm Vin.
Cow squeeze after
milk?
it.
Okay, I know what
Yes.
cream is, but you're saying like the little thing of cream, obviously, and like, nope, not obvious to me, bruh. Not a thing in the house.
Here in Tesco's, they're not too little. They're
little
actually like
cups.
full cup size, of cream. So they stay in the fridge for a little while before I can use all of it.
Okay.
So if I need to test to see if it's good, just like,
Do you ever find yourself in like one of those situations like, yeah?
no, I found myself in a situation of, that's right.
It's like people buy milk, which is fine, and soy, almond, and all, it shouldn't be called milk, but if I gotta buy that, that's what I buy because that stuff tastes good for months. There's no, I was like, nah, it's good, don't worry about it. What? Oh. All right. I don't.
Dodge!
I wanted to hate that, but I spent some time with it, and I like it now.
That's funny.
Pretty good. Piccolo. Has anybody watched, been keeping track of, what is it called? Dragon Ball Heroes? It's like the little 10-minute things. They're up to like episode 11.
Oh, okay. I haven't watched them. No.
You can watch it in 30 minutes.
I have been watching the latest season of Jessica Jones whenever I can squeeze a couple of episodes in.
That's out, isn't it? I gotta watch that out of principle, man, because that's the last of the.
It's the last.
Netflix Marvel. They're like, Disney's like, that never happened. Come buy our service, and I'm like, no, Disney, we're gonna do Loki. Here's some money, Disney.
With Tom Hiddleston.
Yeah. Like,
Yeah.
oh, okay, that's how you do it. Okay, understood. Go pay the mouse.
We
man.
have Disney money, bitch.
What is that?
Oh, that's from Scale quite a few years ago. A couple years ago. The Open Susei Boys.
Strider really looks like what's her name from Game of Thrones in that picture.
Oh,
Yeah.
Gwendolyn Christie.
Yeah. I mean,
Brienne of Tarth. He does, though.
I
He
mean-
totally does.
Yeah, I think that was from his first Scale he went to.
you feed the boy a couple extra sandwiches, man. We can cosplay. We can do Dragon Con, right? And he's not a short boy.
No, he's not. He's definitely got the height for it. Just needs that hair needs to be bleached a little bit. But outside of that, it's good.
That could happen. All right, 25. Get some drinks, and I think we'll get on it.
Yes.
Sounds good.
Sounds good. When's it gonna sound bad? What do I got to do for you to be like, man, that's a horrible idea?
I can think of a few horrible ideas off the top of my head.
I always think of horrible ideas. I think I maintain my sanity.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, death and destruction, like that mental, that keeps people sane. That keeps people from ending up on the news.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's cathartic. That's perfectly normal.
It's like when someone's like, why are you looking at me like that? Oh, nothing.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it.
It's like, oh, do you have violence? Oh, hell yes. Constant.
It's mostly how I keep the violent behavior away.
Violent behavior is really easy to keep. I don't like replacing things.
I don't like replacing things, like getting paid at the end of the month. Yeah, there's a
Yeah.
couple of pros.
There's that. I mean, the like thin veneer of civility that we have on society. That what do you think? It would take 1 week to completely devolve into straight up Mad Max when, like, if a power grid goes out?
Let's see, power grid goes out, internet goes with it. The moment the cell phone towers stop getting the backup power
8
and the
hours.
internet dies for good,
8 hours.
yeah, 8 hours. That's how long it takes. Because when the internet is out, like,
Clickety clack clack clack.
all
What are you typing,
over.
Joe?
there's going to be stuff
has been-
flying.
Steve Husband was asking about dinner tonight.
If the internet goes down, power goes out, fuel pumps, so no petrol, no water.
Ooh, no water. Okay.
I mean, you're gonna have water probably for like 2 or 3 days in any type of gravity-fed situation,
Yeah.
like water towers. But outside of that, then it's gone, bro.
Well, you can
Yeah.
desalinize the ocean water. I've had to do that before.
With what?
A technique my dad knew how to do when we lived in Mexico, third world country. So I lived with that often. No electricity. We had a water tank. We had cesspools, and my dad had a natural well, and sometimes it would go out, and they wouldn't. We didn't have water delivered, so we had a water tank, and then one summer, we had such a bad drought that he did something in the ocean and desalinized the.
Oh, you can desalinize water. That's not.
Yeah, you can boil it. You can boil it. Yeah. But
Boil
I
it,
don't
get
know
a
it.
tarp over the thing, and basically just have a little jar
Oh.
at the bottom of the tarp
Yeah,
to let the
yeah.
condensation.
But he had a way of doing it where you could get a lot of water. So
The problem
It's
is
pretty good.
desalinization is always inverse with energy. It takes more power to.
oh yeah, always.
But the biggest problem with that is we don't all live near oceans,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
and it doesn't
Yep.
scale.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, true. I wish I would have known what my dad used. I was too little to know.
No,
so.
there will be a semblance of, like, you know, a society, civility for about 8 hours, and the moment cell phones die and the internet goes down, it's hell on earth.
I think for the first 3 or 4 days, you're going to still have the people slowly driving around on the streets, and they're like, what's going on? You're going to have that, and people are going to be at, like, stores, you know, having informal town meetings, like, what do we do?
Stores? Like 2 days in, the stores will be picked clean.
They don't have a way to pay for it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and so
No
I don't think it will get in
cash.
full-on riot mode for a few days. So the first couple of days is going to be like, do we just start looting yet? You know, because there's still the things like, well, if we loot too early, we'll get in trouble for it.
Mm-hmm. The police are still thinking like the police,
Right.
and they'll arrest us.
Filtered urine. Hey, man. When in Rome.
Yeah.
Speaking of, I actually need to pee. Give me a sec.
Jeez. Why don't you get another drink of whiskey?
I might.
What have you been up to, Jill?
Not a lot. This last week. Except watching lots of videos of conventions.
Convention videos?
Yeah. Southeast Linux Fest.
Is that going on?
Yeah, that was last weekend.
Okay.
Yeah.
What all went down there? Did you see anything fun?
Yeah, actually, oh gosh, I watched so much. It all kind of, you know, most of the talks I've watched are about, you know, using how Linux on a desktop is a thing. Like Noah Chelia, he did a Linux on the desktop, and that was excellent. He said it, you know, it's actually here, despite what people are saying. So, as we've talked about on LWW, and that was a really good talk.
That was it?
And okay, most of the other things I watched were the podcasts that were live
Okay.
from the floor, and the developers speaking, which was really neat. That was cool. That was the convention that Lord Gabin had spoke at several years ago. It was one of the few Linux conventions he had spoken at about the future of Linux with Steam.
Yeah, I wish that had worked out. Never did.
Yes.
This is going to be fun, though. We're going to be talking a lot about this Saturday. You know, gaming on canonical things are going to get interesting.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
definitely. Definitely.
We'll get it rolling today.
We'll get that ball rolling today for the reason, like, I can see everyone at Valve is like, and that's why we based it on Debian.
Yeah. Debian isn't going anywhere anytime soon.
Even if it does, it's like, we got 5 years. I mean, come on. Easy. All right, let me go do my bouncing up and down. And
Yes.
we're going to do a show.
Okay.
It's going to be awesome.
Yes.
We're going to change hearts and break minds.
Yes. Come to the penguin side. we have free software.
We'll give you money.
Yeah.
Basically, come this way and you won't have to pay for software.
Yeah.
No, not like that, you pirate.
Yeah. Yes. There. That's a good one, Pedro.
Because I know a lot of people is like, oh, yeah, I use Windows. It's like, yeah, when was the last time you paid for a license? I never paid for a license. And you're using Windows. Yes? Do you have the little watermark in the corner? No? Uh-huh.
Uh-huh.
So don't come running when your laptop gets all the viruses.
Yes.
Oh yeah, no, Windows is great. It keeps people like me at a job. And it's both Dave and Nathan, they use Windows, but Nathan is like, yeah, if I could, I'd just use my phone and my PS4 to play games. That's it. That's all I'd ever use. And Dave is like, yeah, if I could, I'd use probably Mac or Linux, something other than Windows, but
Yay.
I have to use Windows because kids. And I'm like, yeah, it's the three of us, here we are, fixing Windows issues and getting people, to moderately be able to work with Windows. And none of us likes it. Not a single one of us likes them. Yeah.
That's harsh.
Windows is great for, like a Jelly Bean says, it's great for job security, but that's about it.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely.
There's a devil's advocate role.
Yeah, we all
Yeah.
made money. We all make money off Microsoft's mistakes. So
With how often Windows screws up or some Microsoft product screws up. Yeah.
Ultimately, you don't make as much money as Microsoft does.
That's a fact, yeah.
Like, let me show
And
you how
micro-
to make money on our mistakes, children.
Microsoft has everyone locked into this mentality that Windows is the operating system unless you want to pay through the nose for a Mac.
I think anybody that we could get into the whole thing. I mean, it's whatever it ships with. It's whatever your first experience is. I've been, and I'm not saying this with any ego whatsoever. It's like, oh, look at me, I'm special. For 20 years of not using Microsoft, every time, like, when I got that Windows tablet, genuine anger of, like, I don't know how, and I can only imagine that's what a Windows user coming from, like, 2 or 3 decades. It's like, I don't understand how this, and it's the unlearning process. It doesn't matter what it is.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of the things I'm against of, like, messing around with UX. I'm like that, putting things in stranger places and making it do odder behavior than like a general consensus that the world's come up with over the past 30 years doesn't help.
Yes, Strider,
Yeah.
people just choose jobs that require Windows. Not like you ever get desperate and you take a job that pays well. It just so happens to be dealing with Windows crap. That's very high and mighty of you there, Strider.
Hey, Jordan. Yay, Jordan. Hi, Dick Kresny. Hi, Strider. Mhm.
Man, didn't stick the landing on that one, Dark. Dot, dot, dot. The main reason KDE.
The way
works like
Windows
one.
works with the desktop environment. I don't know what you were going for.
That,
oh, there
that
we
works.
go. Yeah, that is what he was going for. Okay,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah. That works, Linux Skinneroo. Good going.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to boil it back,
The
man,
headless.
I mean, Windows, the idea of it works like Windows 95. The start menu wasn't a bad idea because it was based on CDE, which predated that, which was based on what that monstrosity
Yeah.
from Xerox PARC was running.
Uh-huh.
Okay, menus aren't
Alto.
bad.
Mhm.
Wasn't the Alto the
Alto.
one with the long...
The portrait
Yeah.
portrait mode screen.
Yes.
Yeah.
that had color. It's the first GUI with a mouse, and it's over here at our Xerox PARC. We have one on
It had
display.
color. The whole
Yeah.
2 of them.
Yeah, I know.
And
Yeah, we
Apple
have a little
stole their
museum.
idea, and I was like, no, Xerox was so incompetent, they didn't know what they had. They gave it to them, effectively.
Yeah. And Steve Jobs may have created the single most pretentious brand on the planet, but dude's like, oh, we can use that. We can totally
Yeah.
use that.
Mac's work, I'll give them that.
Well, they used to.
They still
Yeah.
do.
Well, the old ones do.
Whoa. I don't know, man.
The new MacBooks, if you dare to look at one of their keyboards wrong, the butterfly switch will break.
See, I'm not as ugly as you are. I don't have that problem. I don't break things by looking at it, Pedro, is what I'm trying to get across.
I got that.
All right, just making sure we're on the same page.
I'm just saying, like the 2 people at work that somehow managed to convince their budget holders that getting a Mac was a good idea, and then they come to us, it's like, oh, I have this is my work laptop. It's like, did we give you that laptop? No. Go away. Oh, but it's the keyboard. One of the keys, it's broken. It's like, is that a Mac? Yeah. Go read about it on the internet.
I'm surprised you don't jump at the opportunity to take it apart.
I already have.
Like,
I've seen what they look like on the inside, and I've seen what an iMac looks like on the inside. And getting that glue back was... Yeah.
Well, this is one of the real issues.
Yeah.
Like, everything's glued in, which I understand why they do it, but... I can't throw Apple under the bus with that, without Google, Nokia, Samsung, everything. Remember replaceable batteries?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Android flip phone?
Uh-huh.
Battery.
All right. I'm not saying anything in the hopes that you drop something, but
Aw.
you only
I turn
bought
that on when I need to log into something because that's where all of the Google Authenticator stuff is.
Well, dude, you can straight up, like, do the legit, like, 90s spy movie where you take the battery out, then crack the phone and put it in a bin.
But I like that. That phone served me well for the past 5 years.
Yeah,
So-
listen, man, we both know you only bought that phone because it came with a fixie.
It didn't. I bought that phone because it was an Android flip phone. It's like, oh, yeah, no, I'll totally get that.
All right, let's do a show,
Yes.
I think. Is that loaded right? Yeah, it is. All right. Not yet.
Okay.
We were both at the same time.
That's warm up. It's actually pretty close. I checked it when I get up and about. Boop. And okay. That's good. That's good. Groovy. All right.
Cool.
Arm.
Mhm.
Record. Okay, everyone still has audio because unlike Saturday, I just randomly forgot to arm all of the recording tracks. I'm like, why is everything quiet? And it's like, oh. Okay.
Right.
True.
Good.
Give me a minute. Go for it. All right.
I didn't know when you wanted me to do it.
Don't worry, we caught it.
Okay.
We have video evidence. Okay. Wrong show, right show. And welcome back to Linux Weekly Daily Wednesday, where we can sit back, relax,
everyone.
take that midweek break, and talk about just some of the fun things that we found going on in the world of floss, open source, and you know it. Linux, I'm Vin, that's Jill, that's Pedro, and you at home watching us live. It's kind of brilliant. We got a gang of stuff to cover this week. Have you been up to anything fun? Jill, what do you got?
Oh,
What do you up to?
yeah. So I've enjoyed watching video coverage from the Southeast Linux Fest last weekend from fellow podcasters like Noah Chelia from the Ask Noah show, Rocco from Big Daddy Linux, and the hosts of Destination Linux. And that was really a lot of fun. That's one of my favorite things to do. For those Linux conventions I'm not attending, is to watch all the videos and read all the things.
Yeah, I get on kicks like that. A lot of times it's like DEF CON, and it's like watching old movies because I'm like watching DEF CON like 2012, and I'm like, oh, I remember that classic,
Yes.
and that was a thing. That's
Yeah.
really cool. Pedro, did you get another Xeon laptop?
No. Still using the very same one, but I did get rid of one of my older laptops. It was an old Lenovo. This is like one of the big ones. It was like it wasn't even a T series. It was just it was old. It was neat at the time, I thought, and but someone needed it, and Nori's like, "So, do you have a laptop you can give away?" Yeah, because one of my coworkers needs a laptop and she can't afford one. It's like, all right, find the most powerful laptop I have that I'm willing to part with right here. Take it.
You didn't look her right in the eye and slap the lid of the like stack that you have. I was like, nope, can't spare any right now.
See, I realize I have a bit of a hoarding problem, but yeah.
Yes.
You're definitely getting started with one, my man. I've been playing with a lot of stuff, Pulse Audio, also loopback devices and stuff like this, because that's been messing around with their audio chain, tightening up latency. But that wasn't the big thing that like messed up my week. Like Sunday afternoon, it might have been Monday morning, somewhere like 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning. I discovered that Blackmagic straight up made a thing that is affordable-ish as opposed to like $1,000. I was telling Pedro earlier, I was like, I wish that thing was $1,000. Like, why? Because then I was just like, nope.
Yeah.
It's like a it's 4 HDMIs and like we could do a lot of stuff.
HDMI 2.0, so
4K,
UHD at 60
60.
FERPs.
4 at one time, and it's $500, which is ludicrous, but not that ludicrous. I don't know. Prepare to hear me go, I'm thinking about that for like another month, then I'll eventually get around to do it. Because it's got what Vin craves. It's an aspirational item for the show. Anyway, let's get right into it. Linux has been attacked. We need to uninstall it and put on Windows XP, right?
Actually, no, you need to run like a single command in the terminal, but Well, we talked about Hidden Wasp not too long ago, and we said, it's like, yeah, that's not a big deal because the system is already compromised at that point.
Why you're just promoting this FUD, man? This is clearly not an issue. You need to quit
But
giving problems coverage.
yeah, Hidden Wasp was not as big an issue as people made it out to be, but this is
Yeah.
this not only affects Linux kernels, it affects BSD kernels. And there's a couple of vulnerabilities. I think there were 3 of them, with the single most egregious one being the fact that it can cause a kernel panic on a Linux kernel, and it can be triggered remotely. So this right here, this is an example of an actual problem. It can be triggered remotely. It can cause a kernel to panic with very little input from the user, and it's being actively exploited right now. The patches are already out, so if you got a patch for a kernel that's not like within the same cadence as they usually tend to come, this is what that fixes. And it's this is a problem because we know how people are exploiting it. We know what people are targeting. We know that it is a viable exploit and a remote exploit at that. So, yeah, it only causes a denial of service or a kernel panic in the case of Linux, which, all things considered is probably minimal. But it wouldn't take much to go from that to use that particular buffer overflow to escape the RAM sandbox that the browser or whatever it is that triggers this vulnerability is currently running in. So, yeah, this is a problem.
It's something you should get fixed, and I think every major, even minor distribution, like push that out. Like, whoa. Want to give some credit to Netflix though, because they were like, "Yo, we found this," and Netflix has done a lot of work on the Linux side, especially with networking stuff, because that's what their backend's running on. Like I remember way back when they released Chaos Monkey as open source, and it's like that's really neat. But get this fixed. If you don't have a patch for it, check out our show notes. It's really easy with a you can do a sysctl thing with your. Does it affect IPv6?
No, it's in the IPv4 TCP SAC.
What about, okay, I didn't see this addressed anywhere. Maybe you know more on this. What about routers?
Routers, if they're running a FreeBSD kernel, yes. If not, no. Yeah.
That's the thing. Cool. Jill, are you terrified? Are you updated? Petrified?
Yes. Just make sure to patch your SAC.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Very good, Jill.
All right. The internet is very happy about this exciting development from Canonical. i386 architecture will be dropped starting with, 1910. This is great. This is the future, you guys. Nothing uses i386. We're not talking about, just the compatible. Everything's gone boom. I mean, this is going to blow out everything. Maybe some people are going to have a problem with this. I know we're going to talk about this more in depth on Saturday because there's a lot of games compiled 32-bit only, and we're never going to. Oh, look, it was pinned by Popey. Hi, Popes. Probably watching. No, to be serious about this, there's going to be some problems with this. There's going to be some growing pains. I definitely think, and if I had to play the Flying Spaghetti Monsters advocate, I'm going to have to say this is something that's got to take place at some point. It has to.
Yeah.
And, much like Wayland, eventually, maybe 10 years from now, someone's going to have to take that first wave of bullets to do this. And like it, hate it, or hate it more, this is definitely one way to accelerate finding out what that future will look like.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
we've
there
been
was-
talking about it for a while. Go ahead, Pedro.
No, go ahead, Jill. You started.
Okay. We've been talking about this since the release of Ubuntu 18.04 LTS being the last release to support i386. So we knew this was actually coming. And Linus had deprecated i386 from the Linux 3.8 kernel back in 2012. So a lot of us knew this was coming, and it is actually sad. It's the end of an era, but I'm sure there will be other distros that pull in the reins, like Debian.
Yeah, well,
Oh,
I guess
awesome.
like we were talking about this in the pre-show. Is that yeah, Debian's not going anywhere anytime soon.
Yeah.
But one of the things that Will Cook said is like there are a number of ways that 32-bit applications can continue to be made available to users of later Ubuntu releases. And he specifically mentions in that little Q&A thing that he posted, which is LXD containers, which if you don't know what that is, think the way that Chrome OS currently handles Linux applications, it's like a container, a hybrid between a container and a virtualized environment. And basically that's the canonical interpretation of it. It's the LXD containers and snap packages.
Mm-hmm.
And the first thing that came to mind is like, oh, if you're using this as an excuse or a desperate hurrah to shove snaps down people's throats, this isn't going to end well. This is going to generate a poop storm the likes only, I guess, the Unity desktop has ever seen.
Yes.
And if you remember the kind of poop storm that was, this is going to be worse. Unless you handle it really well, which has not been the case when it comes to Canonical in past.
I genuinely don't think this is a Trojan snap show title. I get beat up a lot because I'll come to the defense of Canonical and be like, it's good some people are doing this. This is something that's got to get done one way or the other. Maybe snaps aren't the way to do it, but we're going to have to find something to do it.
Oh, I'm sure this will poke all the holes into all of the weakest spots, and whatever breaks is going to break hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So grab some popcorn, sit back, and hey,
Oh, yes.
since we're going to be talking about snaps, another thing from Canonical, Ubuntu devs are testing Chromium browser because they're going to transition it from the tired, old, broken, useless Debian package format to the new, shiny, top-of-the-line Snap package. And, ladies and gentlemen, this is a firm plan that will not be debated. So, I got to give them credit, man. With 1910, this is going to roll out. Canonical is not the only team that likes to test in production. As somebody who enjoys testing in production, good on you, Lud. Brave. Very brave. Pedro?
Look, there's something to be said about running applications natively, and from a security standpoint, I get it, because having it inside the snap creates that extra bit of sandboxing. Thing is, I really don't need Chromium stuff using more RAM and CPU cycles than they already do, or giving it the excuse to be any slower than it needs to be. And putting it in a snap will do everything I just mentioned.
You're just hating, bro.
Yeah. Yeah. And just like Pedro said, I'm actually really concerned about how well Jitsi that we're using now here at Linux Gamecast and other WebRTC services will run in a Chromium browser snap. Because memory is definitely an issue. And I know that the Discord app has issues with audio video conferencing in the Snap app, let alone problems natively with the Electron app. So, it's it's definitely I am concerned about it because Chromium, we live off Chromium. And yeah, we need it as memory efficient as possible.
We need Firefox to actually figure out WebRTC and implement it properly.
Yes, there's that too.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. After they get done like firmly baking in JAX, yes, I know you can build Firefox with JAX support, but it only half works. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be a learning experience, that's for sure. If I'm looking at it from like being democratic about it, it's probably not going to be a good time for a minute. You're going to take that performance hit because, if you're running on a modern system with an SSD, especially with an NVMe, you can always spot that you don't have to tell anyone what is, and I'm not pooing on snaps. This is a legitimate issue. This is when I put 1910? Or 1904 on, I immediately went, Why did calculator not immediately open? Followed by, why did GNOME system monitor immediately? These are legitimate. Before I looked at anything, then I went DF and I was like, oh, what? Oh. That, yeah, maybe that'll get
Yeah.
fixed in the future. Like right now, you can absolutely make the use case for snaps on the server side. I'm like, that
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
didn't make
you need a
sense. Container-
specific
yeah.
application. Yeah.
It's
I get
updated.
that. It's
Yeah.
desktop facing. It's going to need some work. I'm going to need some convincing. I wish we knew somebody we could talk to about it. But dang. That's an invite, son. GNU Linux RISC-V 64 port mid 2019. This is our future.
Yeah. No, this is actually really cool. This is and here's an update on the status of the RISC-V 64 Debian port. And what's really nice is they have graphs that show how much they've completed and converting over the packages. So 90% of the packages have been transitioned to the RISC-V 64 port, with the exception of Rust applications, which includes Firefox and LLVM applications. And, there are over 500 packages from the Rust ecosystem in the Debian archive, which makes up about 4% of the archive, and they can't be converted until there is Rust support for RISC-V. So, this
Isn't
is...
that right, Chad?
Yeah.
Look at that graph.
Look at that graph. So, Debian, it's the Swiss Army knife of distros. And because of its RISC genealogy and continued support for the RISC architecture, such as with Spark and decalpha, that were listed on those graphs as some of the ports they are drawing for the RISC-V port, the RISC-V transition is much further along, and is one of the reasons that Debian is so well suited for it, because they have such a history and, again, genealogy in the RISC architecture from years ago. So,
Yeah.
they're really coming along. If they're already 90% of the way, that's pretty good.
Well, it's certainly better than the Itanium support, but before I get to that,
Before I'm going to throw Intel under the bus, they tried, man.
They did.
They
Yeah.
They tried.
Let's bring backwards compatibility. Let's
since we're talking about killing 32-bit, I thought that was relevant.
yeah.
Yes.
But it's having the software support in place for when RISC-V and specifically the price of RISC-V eventually drops to something that's not, completely mental. It's probably a very good idea. But yeah, I was looking at that graph and I'm seeing the i64 graph, and it's like, oh, okay, it rises to like 76%, and then it tanks back down to 70. It's like, what happened?
Yeah.
What happened there?
They pointed that out. Code freeze.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Right.
See.
Yeah, because they go from, stable to tested to untested, so they freeze. Yeah,
Okay.
to stable. Yeah.
Pretty interesting. Always looking forward to more development on RISC-V, and a lot of companies are too, because hey, man, it's like having your ARM and eating it too without paying for licensing.
Yep.
Yeah, definitely going to see some.
I'm sure
adoptions with that.
Huawei is foaming at the mouth right now. It's like, can we have RISC-V? No.
Yeah,
Okay.
okay. Well, hey, we got a couple little updates to GIMP.
Yeah. So GIMP 2.10.12 has been released, and a lot of bugs have been fixed since the major refactoring of GIMP 2.10.10. But this release also comes with some cool new features. Like the curves tool has had a major update and now has the ability to use numeric input to set coordinates of points on a curve for more accuracy. And a new sharp or corner control point has been added to the curves tool. So now you can combine sharp and smooth points on a single curve for greater flexibility of editing your photos and images. And what's really cool is the TIFF format now has layer support when exporting, instead of having to be merged. So now you have another way to import layers into other programs instead of just with the XFCE format. So that's actually a huge for interoperability between the different graphics programs and animation programs. Really awesome.
Yeah, and one of the things that they point out is that they don't have any. No one in the development team uses Mac or Windows. So
Yeah.
if you are a Mac or Windows software developer and you like GIMP, give these guys a bit of a nudge because they need your help. And they say it's like, yeah, the Linux version works pretty well and it's pretty stable. On Mac and Windows, not so much, but we don't have anyone who can work on those right now. So yeah, we need help. So yeah,
It's one of the
give them a
things that
hand.
they
Yeah.
pointed out is with the Windows version, you can now have user fonts, which is like, wow,
Yeah.
that wasn't a thing.
Yeah.
Ooh.
No.
Yeah.
They didn't know. It's like, oh, that's not working. Oops.
Yeah.
Ah, good on them. Good on them. So I, like everyone else, enjoy downloading the occasional Linux ISO.
Yes.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
We're always looking
Mhm.
for pieces of kit that will enhance our Linux ISO downloading experience.
Mm-hmm.
I suppose. I guess a faster internet connection helps, but let's say you're getting those ISOs from, I don't know, the Linux tracker, and you need to use a BitTorrent client to get it. Well, chances are you probably know Deluge. It's been around for a while. I
This
can't
one,
remember what.
the first thing off the bat, I'm a little curious about multi-user support. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I guess it takes multiple user profiles if you don't want other people to know about.
oh, sweetheart, I
your-
understand that. I'm deep in the field of like why.
I mean, yeah, just have,
Yeah.
multi-user support as in different user logs in and they can use Deluge without it screaming. I don't know. But yeah, they
Yeah.
also updated the performance to handle thousands of torrents. There's a new console UI that emulates the GTK and web UIs if you are so inclined, and it makes it more familiar, so I guess it would help. They migrated the GTK UI to GTK 3. About damn time, let's be honest. The magnet, if you hit a magnet link, it can actually prefetch everything and allow you to pick which files you want to download instead of just, oh, is that a magnet link? You're downloading everything. Okay.
Mm.
And yeah, they support language switching, which how was that not a thing before? And the auto add plugin is now separate. It's no longer like built-in functionality. It's just a plugin. So if you don't want to have auto add enabled by default, you can just get rid of it.
So, what's your biggest issue with the Deluge
Uh, plugins.
plugins?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a BitTorrent magnet handler.
Well, I mean,
thing.
sometimes your Linux ISO will come in like multi-part RAR archives, and you got to plug in.
Yeah, but it's still just the one torrent or the one magnet link.
Which you don't have to use plugins. It's just a framework to put them in. It doesn't come preloaded.
Yeah, no, but transmission, you can't even use plugins, and it downloads things pretty good. So that's what I use.
So it's more lightweight and it does its one function better.
Yeah, given its one function is to download peer-to-peer connection shared files. Yes.
So it's like the XFC KDE comparison, right?
You really want to compare an entire desktop environment to a BitTorrent client?
I just
Oh.
did, son. Were you not paying attention?
Because if you want to go down that road, yeah, we can go down that road.
I know you can. You're more than capable of it. With minimal prodding.
Yeah. Well, speaking of that, there used to be an ISO that would boot automatically to a BitTorrent client. I think it was QTorrent, actually. And that was
Yeah.
the user interface. So they do
Qubit
exist.
torrent is totally
Yeah.
a thing.
Yeah. So yeah, like Pedro was saying, I love the performance updates of the load times when handling lots of torrents. That is awesome because that's always been one of my biggest complaints. So there's a lot of the torrent clients that I've used is that they all are usually have very slow loading times, and that's can be really annoying.
Transmission.
Yeah. And I have also used
Modern
transmission.
computer.
Yes. Transmission, Views, WebTorrent, Qubit Torrent, and the command line torrent client, rTorrent, I really like. And rTorrent is actually really fast. And so is Transmission, which comes
Transmission
default with
CLI.
Ubuntu.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. I think
That's
it's a good
the
idea.
thing.
I'm really happy about the magnet being able to select, because, you know, a lot of times Linux ISOs
Yeah.
will come with like cover art and stuff like that.
Mhm.
Yes.
And,
And README
Definitely.
files and whatnot. Yeah.
and subtitles. And I'm like, I don't need subtitles for my Linux.
Mhm.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
it's good to be able to pull all that. Good work.
Yep.
Good work. And
Yeah.
Deluge is what I use. So,
It's awesome.
and I genuinely, like, in all seriousness, I couldn't defend it one way or the other. I'm like, it does its thing. It doesn't matter. So,
Mhm.
brilliant.
Yeah, no, this is one of those
Yeah.
things that I really don't care. It's like, oh, transmission, it downloads things.
You know,
Cool.
Yes.
Pedro, I've seen you pick stupider fights, though, so I thought I could go straight to it. All right, good news, everyone. CERN, you might know them, creators of head crabs and crowbars, maybe not. Migrating
Possible
to
destroyers of the whole world. Who
micro
knows?
black holes. Oh no, it's taking back control using open software. That is right, because they have the Microsoft Alternatives Project, ladies and gentlemen, and it doesn't look like they're doing a bargaining move to get a better deal from granddaddy Microsoft. So basically what happened, the software thing came up for renewal, and Microsoft's like, you know what? We don't believe you're an academic license is valid anymore because you're CERN and you don't do any of that academic stuff, so you got to pay the iron price. And, you know, CERN kind of walked up, whispered in there. It's like, yo, we've been working to replace you for like already a year, bro. Bye-bye.
Yeah.
100%. I mean, it is really a unique opportunity for CERN to demonstrate that, you know, they can build core services with no vendor or data lock-in. You know, like I said, they launched Malt a year ago just to investigate the migration from Microsoft to, you know, just getting off that and non-commercial and using open source solutions, which is completely viable. It's not going to be easy. It's not, and that has nothing to do with open source. That's just going from thing A to thing B. If I really, I got to think, maybe it wasn't the open source so much. Maybe this was just their way of avoiding Skype for Business.
See, Skype for Business is actually going away. Microsoft is actively working to replace it with Microsoft Teams,
Yes.
which is basically merging Skype for Business with Slack. And it's like, oh, it's a monster, is what it is. But one of the really awesome things that CERN have been doing is, ever since we talked about Scientific Linux is going away, and they have started working to get Cent up to speed. So I very much looking forward to CERN turning Cent into a proper enterprise desktop OS. I want to see that. I really do.
Yeah. Really good point, Pedro. Yeah, and this is wonderful. So, you know, CERN is now paying attention to what is going on over at NASA and SpaceX and seeing the progressive nature that open source can offer. And, you know, most scientists are using Linux now. So, you know, this just really makes sense. And I was very happy to hear this. This is an awesome story.
And, you know, listen, it always gives you a little bit of the feel good when a group or a company or any educational foundation or research institute is like, bye-bye, Microsoft.
Yep.
Bye-bye. It's kind of brilliant. Hey, one Microsoft story, because we do know Microsoft, in fact, loves Linux.
Yes, and
Yeah.
who would have thunk it that when you joked about going to the Linux store and getting a Linux VEN,
Listen, man,
that store would be owned by Microsoft.
we're not there.
Yeah.
I said I want to install 7 Linux. Right now,
Well,
I can only
you can
install
install
3
3.
Linux.
Yeah, you can install 3 because besides Ubuntu on the Windows Store, you can now also get
Rated E for everyone.
Yep.
Okay, all right.
They all have
So,
ESRB ratings.
tap it out. we have a response, nay, a duty to do our own distro that's rated NC-17 or whatever the highest adult
R.
are.
Yeah, apparently now, besides Ubuntu, and you could already, like all the Debian based distros, you could finagle your way into them like Kali Linux. You could get that working on the Windows subsystem for Linux. Now you can also get OpenSUSE and Fedora, which is two whole RPM distros. It's like, they had Ubuntu. I was thinking like, oh, Debian proper, like official support for Debian proper, or I don't know, really anything else but Fedora and SUSE. I guess SUSE I can kind of see given Microsoft's history with the Novell.
From wanting to keep it people on Windows happy with Windows and not to completely move, that makes perfect sense because you're going to be dealing with SUSE and Enterprise, and you're going to be dealing, well, not Red Hat, but Fedora close enough.
Yeah. And Fedora is like, oh, I actually like Fedora, so I know what I'm doing tomorrow at work.
There you go. Losing employment. No, that's kind of brilliant. So before we get out of here, I think this is going to be, if not the last or second to last interview from Remember Scale 30 years ago. Jill went there and you talked with the co-founder of Inkscape. So give us a little primer on what we're about to pull up.
This is our Scale 17X interview of Ted Gould, co-founder of Inkscape, talking about the upcoming Inkscape 1.0 release, which is now an alpha. And there's already been several Inkscape hack fests, including in conjunction with Scale 17X, and several talks that they gave at Scale. But recently, there was an Inkscape workshop meetup at the Libre Graphics Meeting 2019 convention held in Germany, where they showed off the new features of upcoming Inkscape 1.0. And, Inkscape is always looking for contributions, testers, and donations. So download the Inkscape 1.0 alpha app image and have fun. It's really awesome. So here is Ted Gould, co-creator of Inkscape.
Which one? Oh, yeah. All right. Wait, which one do I use? Krita or Inkscape? That's the one I use for t-shirts. It's one of the
Inkscape.
Inkscape. All right.
Yeah.
Thank you. I needed to make sure I was throwing the right company under the bus when we come back. I never do that. Hey, that was pretty cool, pretty interesting, and thank you again, Jill, for getting a hold of everyone at Scale, chasing them down, chaining them up, tying them up, however you want about it. Bribing them, multiple ways to get interviews, and it's pretty cool. Yeah. So we got a slice of pie coming up, but first, hey, if you like our brand of nonsense and kind of believe in supporting independent media, do what Adam did.
Yeah.
Become a Patreon. We have 118 beautiful people supporting what we do. Adam now has access to our Discord, behind-the-scenes production meetings, early access to uncut VODs, and one thing I forgot to mention at the beginning of the show. If you enjoy audio production, video production, I try to do these videos every couple of months. I did a complete walkthrough of our NetJack Ardor recording setup and how you can play the home game. I'm going to be doing some more with podcasting and recording under Ardor, but it's pretty cool. Definitely a thing. Thanks to all of our beautiful party patrons making this possible. It is the best way to support our shenanigans. However, we also have shirts. If you buy 500 of these, I can get that HDMI capture card. That's a new encoder.
Yes.
Just 500 because we are actually selling these so you can get them, not so we can make money off of them. I thought that was a lot cooler than charging $28 for a t-shirt. Let's be fair.
Yeah.
We got a couple of mugs and stuff like that. Speaking of that, we got a wish zone. If you're curious about stuff we plan on buying, there it is. Yeah, there it is. 500.
Yeah.
I have to look at I know, Jill, but even to me, logically, I see that 545 and technically that's cheap. And I'm like, yeah, I know it's still $500, man. That's all the stuff we're planning on buying. But if you're curious about everything in the studio, We have a little Amazon, influencer. It's all on Linux Gamecast. Go to the About page. It's there. You can see everything that we've put together, hopefully to satisfy. Can you tell what I've been looking at lately?
No.
Yes.
Nope.
What have you been looking at? Is that mango sauce?
Mango sauce, baby. That's all I've been looking at, man. 100%. Hey, thanks again. Making this possible. This is kind of fun. We get to do a lot more, and we plan on doing a lot more. Oh, it's going to be an adventure. It is. All right, cool. And thanks again, Adam. Hi. Say hi to Adam, Jill.
Hey, Adam, we love you.
And if you go back and turn into last week's Linux Gamecast Weekly, Pedro had a fun fact about Adam that even himself was unaware of.
That was the first thing that popped into my head,
Hey,
so
man.
don't read too much into that.
This is something we get to do for new people. It is kind of brilliant. It's that time again, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
For a slice of pie, version
Slice
1.9.
of pie.
Woohoo!
Yo, that was good. You even got. Oh, that was a good find, Ben. That
A
picture.
pie breadboard, yeah.
Yeah. So this is the Nano Pi server. Excuse me. This is. I was reading the show topic. We talked about the Node Mini Server version 2 using a Raspberry Pi 3 and a 2.5-inch hard drive and other components inside a tiny 3D printed case in May. Now here is the Node Nano Server version 2 using a universal adapter which transforms a Raspberry Pi Lwdw into a tiny network connected server. Simply plug it into a wall outlet for use as a compact server that you can use for decentralized web applications, as a Pi-hole, as a NAS, as a mini home entertainment PC, or whatever else you like. And what's really cool is currently the Nano Server kit and pre-assembled Nano servers are sold out, but more are on the way. And he does really great videos, and this is a really good job on these videos explaining it all. So definitely go check that out if you'd like to pick up one.
I'm going to say 100% looking at this. You could even pre-order. I mean, if you don't want to mess around with anything.
Yeah.
It's at NODE shop. This will be in the credits, not credits,
Yeah.
show notes and all that. This is one of those pieces of kit that you would love to have in your house, but hate to find.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's small, yes.
I mean, let's be honest. If you did have this in your house, you'd plug it into that socket that never gets used, and you just forget about it.
Mm-hmm.
It'd just be there the whole time, and then you'd say, wait a second, didn't I buy one of those Node Nano servers? Oh yeah, let's go into the browser. Oh yeah, there it is.
You genuinely got to be careful with stuff like that. I have lost. I'm sure that's a webcomic, but I've had IPs. I was like, what is that? All right. We got SSH into that. And I was like, where are you? What do you do?
What's your name?
You got to be careful hiding stuff like pies and things like that. I was genuinely like looking in the other day to putting Jackbox in the rack because I got a 19-inch audio. And I was like, okay, it can be neglected if it's back in the corner. If it's in the rack, it will be forgotten about. And
it's a thing. Yeah. It's there. Cool. I don't need to think about it.
The next time I get maintenance would be, it doesn't cut on. Guess I better pull that out. So probably not a good idea. Hey, maybe you got some thoughts, hints, allegations, things better left unsaid. You want to tell us about it. We got something right, got something wrong. You got a project you just want to scream out. You can do that. How do they do it, Pedro?
You can scream. That is totally a valid thing. But the best way to do it and to save
before
yourself...
you do that, go watch Pedro. He did pretty good last night on Dark Souls.
It didn't crash. It didn't crash.
Yeah.
That was
It
Dark
ran
Souls that didn't
very
crash.
Yes.
So yeah, but if you'd like to let us know what other games you'd like to see, maybe me, maybe Jordan, maybe Ven, you can go to the contact page, fill the form, make sure to submit for Lwdw. That's this show right now. And we do want your feedback. Make no mistake. If it weren't for you lot, everyone watching, we wouldn't be doing this show. So, hey.
Ben's making a hangman.
Ven is making ASCII art.
Yes.
Lead hacks, bro. Lead access. Cool. We didn't get any. Well, we got some this week, but it was simple questions. You can always send it in a simple question. Hit us on Twitter or something like that. We'll get back to you. But we got to get out of here.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Aww.
I know it's been fun. It's been real, but we got to roll them credits.
Okay.
It's going to be a thing. Oh no, maybe.
Here
there
they
we
come.
Here they come.
Here they
You
come.
can hear them.
Yes.
You can hear them. That's how you know credits are coming in. Wop wop.
Aw, thank you, Venstone. And thank you, Pedro Mateus.
And very much appreciated, Jill.
Who's Jill?
I don't know, this Linux girl, apparently she even won an Emmy at some point. I don't know.
Aw.
Get a
Thank you
game.
to our producers and executive producers.
Let's just
We
do
love you.
this. Do you think about how much we've technically grown production-wise in our ability to deliver stuff ever since we said, hey man, let's do a Patreon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yay.
Oh, that's an
Awesome.
exercise. Go back and watch
We
some of
love
the old
you.
episodes.
The ones with puppets are particularly good.
Yes, 53. That's episode 53.
I didn't even feel bad for you because
See, I tried to search, but I didn't search for puppets. I searched for
what would you
LGC
search
for
for
kids.
if you were looking for a show with puppets?
LGC for kids, because I remember the thumbnail. That's the only thing that was in my brain. It's like, ooh, LGC for kids. Kids.
Listen, man,
No.
I'm just saying I understand why your shoes are Velcro.
They're not. I haven't had Velcros. I think the last pair of Velcros I had was I was 6, and they got destroyed
Aw.
in primary school. Like destroyed.
What they taste like.
I didn't put them in my mouth.
Yeah, my first pair of Velcro shoes is when they first came out, when I was in 5th grade. I had my kangaroos with the Velcro shoes. That was spiff.
Yeah, no, my footwear is basically the so-called skate shoes because they have like flat soles.
Oh,
Like,
you
okay,
need the
we're
flat.
good.
Okay, that's right. Yeah.
That's very much okay with that. I haven't actually been on a skateboard in over 10 years.
That's been a couple years for me too. I have several skateboards.
So, 1968 is when they came out.
Yeah, but they didn't get popular till later. That was a thing.
Puma became the first shoe company to offer the sneaker with Velcros. Other
Yeah,
companies
that
caught
makes sense.
on. Adidas, then Reebok.
Yeah, Reebok, that was a big thing in high school.
Oh, I have some Velcro cable ties around here somewhere.
You know, I have some Velcro cable ties now because that direct attached copper cable, like being all fancy and stuff, came with like 2 of those. And I was like, that's why this thing was $30. All right, got it.
It's in one of these drawers. I just gotta find it.
Bated breath, waiting.
Yeah. Velcro anticipation.
Dude, it's real.
I could go get a couple too. I've got a package of them. Multicolored ones. Neon.
I have some Velcro next with the reverse side. I have some, I went and bought it at the big box store. It's a 30-pound hold Velcro for securing heavy expletive, delete expletive to anything. So it's got that industrial glue on the back of it,
Yeah. Those are, oh, I love that stuff.
and you
yeah.
stick them together, and it's like, you can technically
Can't find
get
it.
them apart. but you're gonna have
Yeah.
to work at it. Like you're gonna maybe get a quarter out. And I used that to the HD 404 interface when I had that.
Oh.
Because the shelf,
yeah.
I couldn't get screws through the shelf, and I was like, all right, I don't need this thing bowling. So Jordan, that's why yours has like 4 chunks of industrial Velcro on the bottom of it, which is like, oh, this is neat. And it's like, have fun with it.
Oh, hi, the Minter. I saw you in chat earlier.
Spaceship, Heart of Gold. Man, you know, I've run into a couple of people that didn't like Good Omens.
I still
Why?
need to watch that.
I don't know. Well, I didn't ask him. I quit talking to him.
It's because like everything, everyone at work, well, it's mostly Dave, is like, oh yeah, I have Amazon Prime. Did you see Good Omens? Yeah. Did you like it? Yeah. Cool.
Neil Gaiman, yeah, I was like, yeah, all right.
Neil Gaiman, and you have David Tennant basically playing Doctor Who without any excuses.
Yeah, over the top, evil
Yeah.
Doctor Who. You had me there. I mean, you didn't have to do much more than that.
And you have the entire subplot. It's like, oh yeah, it's a demon and an angel. It's like, yeah.
The Antichrist and just mixed up the baby. It's like, yeah, I'm watching. The first 10 minutes, you know whether or not you're going to be available for the next 6 hours because, like, yeah, oh yeah, I'm good.
No, that's
Keep
an
going.
afternoon. It's
Right.
It's an afternoon that you're just going to sit there and look at it.
I legitimately did that, man. I legitimately did that. I watched it just back to back to back. Not, well, breaks, but yeah.
Too weird.
Mm-hmm.
Do.
Too weird. Not regular weird. It had more than the recommended daily allowance of weird.
It was just slightly over extra weird.
Yeah. How do you want your weird? Medium rare, probably.
Oh no, see, when it comes to weird, I want it well done. Give me all of the weird.
Yeah, Venom, you said that show was a cross between Doctor Who and something else?
Yep.
Am
My
I-
words exactly.
Okay. Yeah.
I like to keep my options open. Something else, why? It's good. It's good. I mean, if you like Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, you'll like this.
Yay. Oh, I'll love it then.
And you're gonna have the run of the mills, like the book was better. I'm like, no one asked you. Like no one. Look at this line of no one that asked.
Oh yeah, the Mentor. I like Sync Thing a lot. I've used it. Gosh, a long time ago. Should have. I know they recently updated it too.
Hey, Ven, do you want some processors?
No, he clearly is offering me a copy upgrade, which I'm unfamiliar with copy upgrade tech. No, I'm sorry, dude. Sorry. I don't like this revisionist history that's going on. Oh, man. No, in traditional Linux fashion, I fix the optiplexes. Software. We'll fix it in software. Which we did.
By getting rid of Pulse Audio of all things.
And bringing it back. That's not the thing.
And then bringing it back.
Yeah, that's not the thing that was the, like, oh, that'll change everything. Watch this. Doop, doop. Yeah. Because I was, like, genuinely perplexed. One reason yours has more load on it, Giggity, and the one Jill's on, is because you have the USB 3 encoder coming in for your return video.
Right.
So you got that overhead. Jordan's box has a 4K 60 PCIe encoder on it.
Oh.
So you don't really have
Does
that overhead.
everything over hardware.
Yeah. Number 4. i5, i7. Yeah, dude. I was thinking about upgrading these optiplexes, but like, you know what? They work. Leave them alone.
I mean, even an i5 would be an upgrade.
Don't need it though. That's more heat, more power.
Yeah,
Nah.
it is.
You start upgrading processors, it's like the morons who, will get like the top end of their motor engine did.
Mm-hmm.
And that's it. They wonder why it blows in 20,000 miles.
The block
Just
it
dumping
cracked.
dumping a bigger turbo on it. It's like, it's been chips and it's like, yeah, well, you got oil coming out of your exhaust. Raisins, man.
It's fine.
It's like, dog.
One of the cylinders needs reboring.
It's like the VTEC leaked out, yo. Get your VTEC all over the parking lot, man. The moral of that story is build your bottom end if you can do the top end stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Unlike what I did with Turbojet. Says the hypocrite.
Do as I say, not as I do.
Pretty much. I was going there. Yeah, that was the next
Yeah.
salvo I was loading up for. 100%. Yep, more heat, more on the PSU. These are cool little boxes. I mean, if you call them computers, but
Even under load, they don't make a whole lot of noise.
don't use a whole lot of power.
Yeah.
However, now that I've removed C states from both of them,
Mm-hmm.
if everything in this room is going full tilt, it'll trip the breaker now.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. You maybe need to increase the amps in the room, then.
I don't have an amp dial, Jill.
Oh.
I'd have to, which I'm not going to do. I'd have to put a different breaker in a higher amperage breaker. But I have.
Oh, okay.
I'm on 2 breakers in this room. This is all just plugged in
Oh, okay.
for the sake of like straight up laziness because this back wall's on a different breaker. But if you're wondering, which is all, I've done breaker trip tests in here several times. Just like, okay, let's make sure if this works. It's like, oh, that's not plugged into the right outlet. Okay. Click, do it again.
Okay.
Didn't even notice. We got 15 minutes of straight up runtime with everything on. Everything
That's pretty good.
on. Monitors, Threadrippers, Dells, Jackbox, interface, big screen monitor. It's like 15 minutes. Oh, all right.
Yeah, that should be plenty, right? It's like, save what it's doing. Are you going to be done with that encoding? Okay, come on.
Well, that's not why. I mean, if it happens, we'll see how long we can write it. It's like, all right, let's cut the monitors off first. Oh, man. What's the Optiplex? What? Oh. What? That's on the right side on these. Yeah.
No, it's on the right side, yeah. We have a bunch of 7010s and
Maybe-
a couple of
maybe-
3050s.
This could be Walternate Mentor, though. And
Could be.
that
How's
universe.
How's Earth 2 there, Mentor?
What color is your Statue of Liberty, sir?
Oh, yeah.
Please don't say yellow. Please don't say yellow. Please don't say
Or
yellow.
gold. For a self
Oh,
What?
yeah, the old ones, maybe. We do have a couple of the old Core
These-
2 Duos.
These are 3010s. So
Yeah.
they're not new. They don't have USB 3 technology in them. They're that old. I had to buy cards.
Yeah, the 7010s we have 2 USB 3s in the front.
Ooh, fancy.
Yeah. And like the other 2 in the back.
Also, Nook shells have never come down in price. Period.
Nope.
Because we're going to be adding, as part of the future expansion, as an easy way to like pop
Yeah.
somebody in. And I was like,
Yeah,
maybe not
that would
another
be perfect.
Optiflex. We'll do a little Nook. I was originally going to do Nooks, but Nooks cost too much. We're not that fancy.
Yeah.
They're too good for us.
Yeah, I remember they were.
They have the
So-
advantage of that if you want to, you can actually mount them on the face mount at the back of the monitor.
Or, yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, poop. I
Yeah.
just pooped that little, and like for basic peasant Nook, just the case. It's like 150, but I was like, For 110,
Yeah.
I can throw in another Dell.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, fully running, complete with a hard drive and everything. Yeah.
You just showing off your shelves? I mean, what? Help me out.
Are those CPUs? Yeah, those are CPUs. And RAM.
See Pennywise. Oh, I see it. Okay.
More CPUs and more RAM. Okay, cool.
See, in my fanfic, Pennywise has just got like a debilitating hoarding issue to the point where he's had to buy a warehouse and shelves. Spare parts. Spare parts are good. What do you do with the old CPUs,
Well-
though? I mean, can you, like, I guess you could sell them on eBay.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
there's the logic to it. And it's like if the CPU or the power supply, so that's the first place I'm going to find a replacement.
Yeah.
And by replacement, I mean like $5, right?
Yep.
Right?
Oh, you
That's
can
actually
recycle-
one of the things I
Yeah.
noticed because I had like the first desktop PC I put together myself. I was looking at the single most powerful processor I could fit in that motherboard, and it was one of the Core 2 Duos Black Edition.
Mm.
I can't remember.
You know,
Like
the
the
children,
exact
the
model.
children are not going to remember at a time when Intel crippled half of their
Yeah.
product line because they could.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, oh, you want multi? Oh, that's an advanced feature, multi-thread. You're gonna have to give us some more money for that. Those days are
Yeah,
gone.
that
Yeah.
processor, like when it first came out, was a $1,500 processor. And when I found it on eBay, it's like, oh, it has some use, and it's like 50 euros. What? Gimme.
50's not bad, but then here's my free subreddit of the week: our delusional Craigslist.
I can imagine.
'Cause that's what I'm getting at. I mean, you see that on eBay sometimes with like the buy now option. That's about 1,000% over like what it was new. And I'm like, dude, that's not a collector's item. Like, it is most definitely a collector's item. Like, that's an Xbox
In your
Duke
head,
controller,
maybe.
right? These are things you run into. You run into that at thrift stores sometimes too. So, and it's always given when, like, that's a bit overpriced. Because I never asked that. I'm like, so what's special about that? To see what explanation. I'm like, oh, all right, I'm good with that. Maybe somebody will buy it. What do we have? Uh-oh.
Frankenplex.
Ooh. Deep rack.
Nice. Enter.
Deep rack or desktop? Looks more like desktop. Well, you could just be working on it.
Hmm.
Where is the IO going?
Listen, man.
Going to the top.
Listen,
So it
nobody's
could be a
asking where your
desktop,
eye
yeah.
is going. It could be it's personal.
That's funny.
Look, I'm not questioning your ins and outs. I'm just wondering where they are.
all concerned about this KVM kill me now switch. I'm like,
Oh,
ooh.
yeah. I have lots of those, yeah. For my older systems, I use those.
Sorry, man, you posted it. You know we were going to creep.
Yeah, see, the back has a breathy hole, but the IO is coming to the top.
Okay, because in the thumbnail, I thought, like, it just continued. Like, this was, like, a long, like, 23-inch, 24-inch rack case. Which, dude, all right.
I mean, if that's an ATX-sized power supply, that's a teeny tiny
That's little.
case. Yeah. That's Optiplex-sized.
The one thing that doesn't exist, because I went looking, and I kind of found one, but not really. It's still too deep, and, like, the ones that are even exist, like, if you're looking for, like, something to fit a 19-inch rack, and you want, like, maximum 18 or 19-inch depth in it, for you, too, so I'm not being demanding here. I'm like, it can be a chunky boy that has anything modern and is not made out of straight up, like, just slice and dice your hands.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't exist. I mean, it exists, but it's starting at like $300.
Yeah, because they're custom made. Who was it? I think it was Linus Tech Tips that had one custom made for him. That's where he keeps his personal PC.
Well, the more I thought about it, the more I tried to talk myself into like doing the rack thing with the Jackbox, but it's not going to happen. It's good where it's at. There we go.
Yeah.
That's a true rack. That's the classic stacked rack.
Mm-hmm. Pizza box.
Also, that Optiplex is upside down. You can see the feet.
Yeah.
Dude, listen, man. I'm just saying the floor is the biggest cage in the house.
Oh, okay. Now I see what. Okay.
With a video card sticking out. Yep.
Sticking out.
Yep.
Okay.
Life finds a way.
Just the SFFF.
I wouldn't
Yeah,
mind doing it to you, but
That's why this particular video card no longer has the bracket. Because it's stuck out. It was the full-sized bracket. So it's like, how about we just take off this screw and this screw and this screw? There we go. Now it fits anywhere.
yeah, that's the don't wobble the cable card.
It's HDMI, man.
Okay, I'm sorry. HDMI, not cable, is what they're called.
You can wobble it as long as it's, there. It doesn't make a difference.
Really? When it's not screwed in, I can walk up behind that PC and give it a good tap like that, and everything's going to be cricket.
You might hear some fans go.
Video disappear, maybe a spark. I don't know. Excuse me. 50 racks annually. Yeah. I'm not buying any more racks. I didn't really want to have a rack, but it was the only logical way to do this. And like 19 inches of you just go there. So.
Yeah,
right.
there is a I think it's a 6U rack at work that may be going in the bin. May not be going in the bin. I may or may not have to ask Dave or Nathan. It's like, can you give me a ride home?
I'd be too
Pennywise.
proud to do that, man. I'd take it piece by piece, day by day. They'd never notice it. It's just like one day the rack's on. Like, what happened to the rack? I was like, I don't know, man.
Yeah, Pennywise. I wish I lived by you because I'd grab those racks. I need some more for the garage.
Air quotes around need.
Yes.
Don't support people's bad habits.
Or, do if you want that weight on your conscience.
Unless you're trying to get rid of stuff, then hook them up. It's like, there you go. Yeah, I don't have anybody around me.
There's
that
no
wants
heat
to-
sink on the CPU?
Yes.
It's fine. Light it up. Don't listen to Pedro. It doesn't know what you're talking about. Plug it in. Come on. That's the danger from getting tech advice from me. Sometimes I'm just going to give you the wrong stuff for my amusement. Well, I mean...
550 Ti.
I have one of those in maybe a box or a drawer. Classic computing.
Yeah, Alan, you were asking earlier. I do have one motherboard that's BTX as well.
Look, all I see is the graphics card. The I/O on the graphics card is pointed the same way as the I/O of the motherboard, so that's fine.
It's in the general direction.
But yes, the graphics card is facing the north bridge when it usually faces south.
Yeah, well, I had like one of that Pentium 70 or 75, my first real computer I ever considered a real computer. I remember the first time I illegally cracked that thing open. Under house rules, it was illegal. But you know, come on, it's this holographic sticker, and it was genuinely built upside down.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
yeah, that happened.
Okay.
the PCI cards went in like that. It was interesting engineering because even at that point in my life as a young child, I was like, that's wrong. It had a riser card sticking out because I guess they repurposed the board that, you know, this was still in the days where you could buy a desktop PC. So I guess they did that, put a riser card in it. And yeah, all the PCI cards hung upside down when it was right upside up.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Including the Impact 2 decoder card.
Oh, yeah. Probably a Real Magic Hollywood Plus or some variety thereof.
Probably.
I still have several of them in my machines over here.
Yeah, Real Magic was those. Did you buy a DVD drive? You got one.
Mm-hmm.
Those things
Well,
were,
good DVD drives came with them.
yeah.
Yeah.
I just remember those because I bought a couple of I have a couple of the. I don't know if I still got them. And never could get them the frame buffer to work under Linux correctly. I was like, that's another useless thing.
Oh yeah, that was the thing. I did get one of them to work. With
Yeah,
an
the
older
970 only has 3.5 gigs of addressable RAM. The last 500 megs are, well, they work at 1/16 of the speed.
It's performance boost memory.
It's like the lengths they went to not to call that a 3.5 gig video card. How about if we leave just a 1 ROP to address these 500 megabytes? Yeah, that was a good idea.
You know, then again, you got NVIDIA with the links they will go through to make sure AMD doesn't sell any video cards, man.
Super!
Thanks for asking. Oh, that 6 gig model? Yeah, we're tired of that argument that people were having with, like, what was it, the 1060
It's 8 now.
that had 6? Or the 1050 that had
Yep.
6? Yeah, they're like, that's not even a problem anymore. Like, they all have 8.
2060 only had 6, now it has 8.
8. Glad I didn't buy. Wait a minute. All right, beautiful people, we're going to bounce out of here. I got to make a show.
Actually, the 970, it gives you like 1050 Ti-ish performance, except in Vulkan stuff.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
No.
you can still make some bank off of them.
People still buy them, man.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Like, when it comes to video cards, that is definitely one of the things that you'll see on like Craigslist and places like that is like a 970 is like, oh, you know, $180. It's like, dude, that ain't gonna happen.
No.
I mean,
I bought that 1050 Ti for Nori for 70 pounds.
yeah.
Yeah.
I noticed that when I was looking for like 980 Ti's, and people were like, "Oh, I mean, I'll take 300 for it." No, no.
Buy Katana. Buy the Mentor. Buy Mir PPC.
Sounds like a plan. And on that bombshell. Good night.
Good night, guys.
Yeah.
day, afternoon.
Yes. Depending on
Wherever
where
you
you're
are
at.
in the world.